My name is Luke Dawson. I was born in the old street of Westtown and spent the last 17 years working odd jobs at my grandpa's herbal shop. His shop sat at the very end of the street, the closest place in town to the setting sun. Every dusk, a strange scent would fill the air, part floral, part medicinal. Whenever I asked Grandpa where the smell came from, he would just fall silent. There was something else weird. Every time Grandpa treated a patient, he'd light a stick of incense in my room first. Only then would he begin. Most people who came to him had already been turned away by hospitals. And, strangely enough, a lot of those incurable cases walked out, healed. Even the few who didn't still lived a few extra years. That made Grandpa kind of a legend in the area. But he didn't see just anyone. There were 3 rules he'd never break. First, no patients on rainy days. Second, no patients after sunset. Third, no pregnant women. If any of those 3 conditions were met, it didn't matter how much someone begged or offered, he wouldn't treat them. Dawson family rules, he'd say. Grandpa spent most of his life treating others, but in the end, he couldn't heal himself. He passed away when I turned 17. Before he left, he made me promise, unless it was life or death, never break the family rules. After his death, the shop's business dried up. No one believed a 17-year-old kid could treat anyone. Half a year's gone by, and I haven't had a single patient. I already burned through Grandpa's savings and now live off handouts from my childhood buddy, Fatty. That night, it was pouring outside. Fatty called me in a paniches. Grandma got hit by a car and needed money for treatment. He asked if I had anything to spare. I told him I'd try, but the truth was, I hadn't made a dime in months. I barely had enough for myself. Where was I going to find cash like that? After thinking for a long while, I went to my room to find something worth selling. That's when she walked in, a young girl, soaking wet, wearing a denim jacket and shorts. "Doctor, I'm not feeling well. Can you take a look?" she asked, looking pale and pitiful. Treating patients after sunset breaks Dawson family rules. I told her to come back the next day once the rain stopped, but instead of answering, she pulled out a thick wad of cash and laid it on the counter. With pain in her voice, she said, "Please, doctor, I'm really not okay." I glanced at the money. Had to be at least a couple $1,000. Not a fortune, but enough to pull me out of my current mess. Between my broke-ass situation and her puppy dog eyes, I caved. Just this once, I'd break the rules. I asked where she felt unwell. She said her period hadn't come in 3 months, and every month her stomach hurt for days. My heart dropped. I asked if she might be pregnant. If she was, that would mean I'd already broken all 3 rules tonight. Honestly, that scared the hell out of me. She shook her head and said she'd never even been with anyone. No way she was pregnant. I let out a huge sigh of relief. Took her pulse the way Grandpa taught me. It was kind of a mess. My guess? Hormonal imbalance. 3 months without a period sounds bad, but for someone who specializes in weird cases like mate's nothing I can't handle. I packed some herbal medicine for hormonal imbalance and told her to take it 3 times a day. If things didn't improve, she could come back. She thanked me and left with the herbs. The rain outside had gotten even heavier, and she quickly vanished into the mist. A strange wave of regret crept in. Grandpa had kept this shop his whole life and never once broke the Dawson family rules. And me? I broke them on day 1. What if something bad happens? Out of fear, I didn't send the girl's money to Fatty right away. But when she didn't return for 3 whole days, I figured she must have gotten better. Only then did I take the $2,000 she gave me and passed it on to Fatty. In the hospital hallway, Fatty joked, "You broke the rules for a patient? What if it costs you your life?" His fake smile gave me the creeps. I told him to quit with the creepy jokes. Seeing my face drop, Fatty backed off and didn't say anything more. His dumb joke totally killed my mood. After checking in on his grandma for a bit, I left the hospital and headed straight back to the shop. When I got back, I saw a pair of kids' shoes on the counter. I was instantly pissed. Who the hell thought it was funny to leave shoes in my shop? I picked them up, ready to toss them, but then realized I hadn't seen them when I left earlier, and the shop had been locked up tight. How'd they even get here? Could someone have broken in? I searched the whole place, but nothing was missing. Still confused, I put the shoes aside. Maybe I was just remembering wrong. Maybe a patient left them behind. The next day, I found a set of children's clothes on the counter. They were black, which is rare, since most adults wouldn't dress kids in that color. Business had slightly picked up the past 2 days. A few people came in for herbs, though patients were still rare, but I definitely didn't see anyone carrying clothes like that. On the 3rd day, I decided to be extra careful. I watched every single person who came in and made sure to remind them not to forget anything when they left. That evening, as the usual scent filled the shop, I started cleaning. This time, I found a silver chain under the counter. It looked like something a child would wear. I was officially spooked. One after another, kid-related stuff kept showing up. It felt like some kind of sign. The more I thought about it, the weirder it got. Since it wasn't completely dark yet, I decided to head up to Jingming Temple and ask a Taoist priest for help. Just as I stepped out the door, that same girl from a few nights ago returned. I was totally caught off guard. She looked even paler than before, like way worse than when she first came. I asked if the medicine hadn't worked. She didn't answer my question. Instead, she asked, "Have you prepared the clothes for the child?" I gave her a weird look. "What clothes?" I asked. "You didn't get them ready?" Her face went cold. She stared straight at me with eyes that froze my blood. I had never seen eyes like that. It felt like she looked right through my soul. A chill ran down my spine. My mind raced back to the kid's stuff that kept showing up. Could she have been the one leaving it here? I rushed to grab everything I'd found, the shoes, the clothes, the silver chain, and handed them all over to her. The girl smiled as she looked at the clothes in her hands and said, "You're such a good father. Tomorrow night, the baby and I will move in with you." Father of the child? Move in with me? What the hell is going on? Just as I was about to ask, she walked off holding the baby clothes. I was left standing at the door, totally dumbfounded. Is she mentally unstable or something? Since when did I have a kid? The more I thought about it, the more my head hurt. With all that drama, the sky had already turned dark. Jingming Temple was still hours away, so I decided to wait till morning to go. At dawn the next day, loud banging echoed from outside the herbal shop. Lately, things had been way too strange. Normally, no one showed up. Why were people here this early? I thought it was a patient, coming for herbs. I got dressed and told them to knock softer. They were about to bust the door down. As soon as I opened it, 7 or 8 people rushed in. One young guy grabbed me by the collar and asked if I was Luke Dawson. I barely got out a yes before he punched me straight in the face, yelling, "You bastard! You ruined my sister! I'm here to make you pay!" I took the hit hard. After finally breaking free, I asked him who his sister was. That only made him angrier. He raised his fist again, but a few of the others managed to hold him back. It took a while to piece things together. Turns out, the guy's sister was the girl who came to my shop last week about her period problem. Her name was Latina Mera. Her family said she'd hidden the visit from them. After taking my herbs for a few days with no effect, they took her to a big hospital. That's where the doctors told them she was already 3 months pregnant. Our village is super conservative. News about Latina Mera being pregnant without a husband spread like wildfire. People started gossiping behind her back. Some old folks even went to her house just to yell at her. She couldn't take the pressure and hanged herself in the hills. Wait, you're saying Latina Mera killed herself because of a pregnancy? That's impossible. A week ago, she told me she'd never even been with anyone. How could she be pregnant? I asked. Her family didn't say a word. They just handed me the hospital report. I know how to read those. Clear as day. Latina Mera was 3 months pregnant. My mind went blank. I had trusted her words too much and gave her medicine to regulate her period. Now it looked like she lied to me. Wait a second. Her family said she's been dead for days. But last night, Latina Mera came to my shop again, said she'd bring the baby to live with me tonight. Did she die after visiting me? My sister's been dead for days. Why are you even asking? The guy said. Dead for days? I stammered. That's not possible. She talked to me just last night. As soon as I said that, every one of the 7 or 8 people turned pale as a sheet. Clearly, my words scared the hell out of them. Bullshit, her cousin snapped. She's been buried for days. You saying she clawed her way out of the grave just to talk to you? Before I could say anything, Latina Mera's brother grabbed my collar again and said, "Listen here, punk. Stop with the ghost stories. My sister said the baby in her belly was yours. Either cough up 600,000 yuan, or get ready to join her in the afterlife. At first, I almost believed Latina Mera was really dead, but the moment they demanded that much money, I started to suspect this was a setup. I shoved the guy off me and told them this was my home, and we live in a law-abiding society now. If they kept this up, I'd call the police. That only made them angrier. The big guy cursed. "Go ahead. Call the cops. You killed my sister, let's see who they arrest first. Not gonna pay? Then we'll beat the money out of you." Before I could react, they knocked me to the floor and started kicking and punching. All I could do was curl up and protect my head. But then, a floral herbal scent started drifting through the shop again. The beating slowed. The group began glancing around, confused, trying to find where the smell was coming from. What? What the hell is that? The big guy suddenly stared behind me, his face going pale as a sheet. The others followed his gaze. Whatever they saw scared them stiff. They all screamed and bolted from the shop in a panic. What just happened? Why'd they run? I got up off the floor and looked behind me. It was just my room, completely empty. Still creeped out, I walked into the room myself, but again, there was nothing there. What did they see that scared them so badly? The strange scent in the air started to fade. That was the same scent that usually only showed up at dusk, but today, it came early. What did that mean? Was it connected to whatever they saw? My head was spinning from all the weird stuff happening lately. I forced myself to calm down and started piecing it all together. First, I broke the rules and treated Latina Mera on a rainy day. She hadn't had her period in 3 months. Then, I started getting children's clothes out of nowhere. After that, her family told me she had already died before she ever came back asking for the clothes. So now the real question was Latina Mera really dead? Or was someone lying? If her family was scamming me, then it was simply a legal case of extortion, easily handled. But if they were telling the truth, then I had a serious problem. Because I clearly remember Latina Mera telling me last night that she'd bring the child to see me tonight. That thought freaked me out. I quickly pulled out my phone and called Fatty. Fatty worked at the local police station. If Latina Mera really died an unnatural death, there'd definitely be a record on file. He picked up before I could say anything and jumped in. "Luke Dawson, if you're calling about money again, don't bother. I haven't gotten paid this month. Try someone else." I paused, then said, "Fatty, it's not that. I need to ask you something. Did a girl named Latina Mera hang herself in a few days ago?" Fatty's tone got weird. "You mean the girl who hanged herself 3 days ago in the hills behind?" "Yeah, that happened." "Why? Did you know her?" A chill crawled up my spine. I asked again, "When exactly did she die?" "Didn't I say? 3 days ago, May 12th. He paused, then his voice dropped to a whisper. "Luke Dawson, if you didn't know her well, I'd suggest staying away from this case. Something about it's just off." "What is it?" I could tell Fatty knew something. I completely forgot my fear and pressed him for answers. Fatty lowered his voice again, like he was afraid someone might overhear. "Listen," he whispered. "After that girl hanged herself 3 days ago, a bunch of villagers reported seeing her on the road. You know we don't take on cases that involve superstition, but in the last couple of days, a ton of livestock in village have died, mysteriously tongues sticking out, like they were strangled to death. Yesterday, we staked out a villager's house all night. No one entered, but somehow, every animal in that place ended up dead. That's why I think maybe Latina Mera really did turn into a vengeful ghost." Fatty paused, then added, "Don't tell anyone about this. Our station already banned all talk about village. The more you ask, the more likely you'll bump into that ghost girl." I already did." My voice came out stammering. "Luke Dawson, quit joking around. You live way out in town, far from village. How could you run into her? Keep making jokes like that, and maybe she really will come to your place tonight." Fatty clearly thought I was messing with him. I collapsed to the floor, weakly muttering, "How did you know?" "She said she's bringing her child to see me. Tonight." Fatty and I had known each other since we were kids. He could instantly tell something was off. "Luke Dawson, you're not actually haunted, are you? Stay put, I'm coming right now." The police station wasn't far from my herbal shop. 10 minutes later, Fatty pulled up out front in an old, half-broken police car. He was still in uniform either. It was one size too small, or he'd gained weight again, because it looked like those buttons were about to explode. Luke Dawson, what the hell happened? How did you get haunted by that ghost girl? Fatty rushed in, helped me up from the floor, and asked urgently. My legs were still shaky. Even with Fatty's help, I could barely stand, but my mind was clear. I gathered my thoughts and told him everything that had happened over the past few days. After I finished, Fatty frowned hard and said, Luke Dawson, sounds to me like you've been ghosted. Took you long enough. I figured that out the moment I asked you about Latina Mera. The real problem is, what the hell do I do? She's coming tonight. I took in a long, cold breath. Fatty thought for a moment, then said, looks like we need to head to Jingming Temple, a Taoist shrine that deals with spiritual stuff. The priest there might be able to give us a way out. We? Why you? Did you see a ghost too? I asked. Fatty shook his head. I didn't. But that livestock massacre in village has the whole town freaked out. I'm pretty sure it's all connected to that ghost girl. In this case, we're way past logic now. I need to go too. And it's safer if we stick together. As he spoke, he helped me into the car. Knowing there might be a solution made me feel better. My legs stopped trembling. I could finally walk on my own. Jingming Temple was over 10 miles away in the mountains. Even by car, it would take a few hours. And with Fatty's rusty old cop car bouncing around on the mountain roads, I almost threw up. Seriously, Fatty? Doesn't your police station have a budget? Can't they get better cars? I groaned in the passenger seat. At this rate, I'm gonna die from motion sickness before any ghost gets to me. Fatty just laughed. I'm just a low-level officer. I'm lucky I even get a car. You think I'm some hotshot? I blinked. He had a point. Fatty had only graduated from the academy less than a year ago. For our little town, he was doing pretty well. Me? I probably wouldn't even be allowed near a police car. So, I dropped the complaints and changed the subject. Hey, by the way, how's your grandma doing? Is she healing up okay? What injury? Fatty turned to me, totally confused. Didn't you say a few days ago she got hit by a car? Is she already better? I asked. Hearing what I said, Fatty's face dropped instantly. He frowned and said, Luke Dawson, that's not something you joke about. My grandma's never been hit by a car. She's perfectly healthy. That's when I started to feel like something was really wrong. I'm not joking, I said. A few days ago, I even gave you money at the hospital. You joked that I broke the family rule and asked if I wasn't afraid of something bad happening. The second I said that, Fatty slammed on the brakes. If I hadn't been wearing my seatbelt, I would have flown straight into the windshield. What the hell, man? I snapped, shaken, as I looked at him. Fatty's face was dark. He stared at me and said, Luke Dawson, I swear that wasn't me. 3 days ago, I was on shift, sitting right at the police station the whole time. If you don't believe me, ask my coworkers or check the surveillance footage. He sounded so sure of himself. It gave me chills. If the guy who called me to the hospital wasn't Fatty, then who the hell was it? And what was the point of luring me there? I remembered how that guy smiled at me with dead eyes, and a cold sweat broke out down my back. I really regretted it now. I broke the Dawson family rule without even a shred of caution. Looks like I walked straight into someone's trap. I was too young, too naive. Seeing how shaken I was, Fatty tried to comfort me. Don't stress too much, Luke Dawson. No matter who impersonated me at the hospital, once we get to Jingming Temple, they'll help us figure it out. Yeah, it's getting late. We better get moving, I said, gripping the door tightly and forcing myself to stop shaking. But for some reason, coincidence or not, the engine died after Fatty turned the car off. No matter how many times he tried, it wouldn't start. I started getting nervous. We were in the middle of nowhere. What if this was a ghost again? Fatty burst out laughing when he heard me. You're really freaking out, huh? It's broad daylight. What kind of ghost would show up now? Don't worry. This car does this all the time. Just an old problem. Give it a push, and it'll start right up. I stepped out of the car. All around us were thick woods, no people in sight, just one winding mountain road stretching out into the unknown. Our rusty old police car sat stranded on the slope, and weird howls echoed through the forest, making my skin crawl. Luke Dawson, what are you staring at? Get moving. If we don't hit the road soon, it'll be dark before we know it. Fatty lit a cigarette and leaned halfway out the window. shouting at me. All right. I braced myself and shoved the car with everything I had. With a loud vroom, the engine kicked to life, and Fatty's car shot forward. Still puffing on his smoke, Fatty looked back at me and said, "See? Told you. No way a ghost shows up in daylight. You'd be surprised. Daytime hauntings happen more often than you think." Just then, a clear voice rang out from outside the car, making both of us jump. We turned toward the sound and saw a pale-skinned girl in a tattered dress, smiling sweetly at us. She had long black hair, her clothes worn, but oddly clean, and her smile, it was unnervingly perfect. "Who are you? What are you doing out here, in the middle of nowhere?" Fatty's instincts kicked in. He stared at the girl with full suspicion. The girl giggled and said, "I'm just a lost little girl in the mountains. Officer, could you give me a ride?" Fatty gave a cold snort. "You don't look lost at all. We're on official business. You'll have to get back on your own." As he spoke, he reached to start the car. I grabbed his hand and looked back at the girl. "Where are you going?" "Jingming Temple at Yan Ridge," she said sweetly. Then, without waiting for a response, she opened the back door of the police car and hopped in, staring at us with innocent eyes. After hearing the girl's words, Fatty and I exchanged a glance. We both saw the same surprise in each other's eyes. I turned and asked the girl in the back, "Why are you going to Jingming Temple?" Still smiling, she replied, "What else would I go to a temple for?" Got spooked by something weird, obviously. Fatty and I didn't buy her explanation at all. He was about to speak, but I raised my hand to stop him. "It's getting late. Let's just go." "Yeah, especially since today is a cursed day. Yin energy is strong, yang energy weak. If we don't move, we really might run into a ghost while the sun's still up," she said casually while fiddling with her fingers. The girl had been acting strange ever since she got in the car. I couldn't help but glance back at her. She noticed and looked up, flashing a sweet smile that made me feel awkward as hell. I turned my head to the front immediately. Just then, I saw a woman on the roadside ahead, reaching out to flag us down. She was dressed in a red dress, and something about her looked oddly familiar. As the car got closer, chills exploded across my body. It was Latina Mera, the same Latina Mera who had come to my herbal shop yesterday, even though she was already dead. Fatty didn't recognize her. Seeing someone wave us down, he was about to stop, but the girl in the back suddenly sat up straight, eyes fixed on the window. "Don't stop, just keep driving." Fatty frowned. "So when you wave us down, we stop. But when someone else does it, we ignore them? You're seriously that selfish?" The girl let out a cold chuckle. "She's not human. And I could say the same about you." Fatty started to snap back, but I cut him off. "That's Latina Mera." "Wait, the Latina Mera who's supposed to be dead?" Fatty freaked out and slammed the gas pedal. The police car zoomed past the woman in red. Since she was on my side of the car, I felt an icy chill the moment we passed her. I shivered uncontrollably. Meanwhile, the girl in the back tapped Fatty on the shoulder and said playfully, "Hey, Officer Fat, didn't you say I was selfish? Why didn't you stop for her then?" Fatty glanced back at her and muttered, "Only because you jinxed it. You said we'd run into a ghost in broad daylight, thanks for making it real." "Relax. Didn't you leave the ghost in the dust already?" the girl said, unfazed. I was finally starting to feel a bit relieved, but then I looked into the rearview mirror, and every hair on my body stood on end. Latina Mera was still there, standing on the mountain slope behind us, staring at me with eyes full of grief and hatred. No way. We were going at least 80 miles per hour. How the hell was she still behind us? That meant we hadn't shaken her off at all. My voice trembled. "Guys, check the rearview mirror." Fatty and the girl both looked back. The moment the girl saw Latina Mera, her ever-present smile vanished. She climbed into the driver's seat, shoved Fatty aside, and said, "I'll drive." "What? Are you crazy? Do you even know how to drive?" Fatty shouted, panicked. "Shut it. One more word out of you, and I'll turn this car around and drop you off right next to that ghost," she snapped. Fatty had been spoiled since childhood. No one had ever talked to him like that. His face turned red with anger, but the truth was, neither of us had any better ideas. For now, we had no choice but to trust this mysterious girl. The girl took the wheel, but the car wobbled left and right along the mountain road like she was drunk. She was even slower than Fatty. I couldn't help but ask, "Isn't this too slow? Are we gonna be okay?" Ghosts don't take normal routes, so we can't either. The only way to escape her illusion is to fight weird with weird, the girl replied. "Hey, she's gone!" Fatty exclaimed with joy as he looked out the window. I let out a long breath of relief and turned to the girl with genuine admiration. "You really know your stuff. What's your name?" "Of course I do. There's nothing in this world Julia Morgan, don't know. That ghost from before? Please shaking her off was child's play," she boasted as she flicked her hair. But just as she finished, Latina Mara reappeared right in front of us on the road just like before, blocking the way. She's up ahead now," Fatty stammered, pointing at the road. "Didn't you say she was gone?" Julia Morgan stared at the ghost blocking the road, her brow furrowed tightly. "That's not right. Why is she still here? Don't tell me." "She's a tough one. She didn't speed up. In fact, she brought the car to a full stop." "What are you doing? Are you trying to get us killed?" Fatty yelled, barely able to speak from fear.